We got History Matters. What did Native Americans do during the Civil War? These guys make really good videos, so you already know this is going to be a good one. Right, let's check out this video.
When we think of the American Civil War, we often think of several things. Of its leaders like Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis, of Confederate and Union troops duking it out in bloody combat, or of what the Civil War was all about.
Right, yeah.
What isn't often considered is the role that Native Americans played in the conflict and how the Civil War affected them. So what did Native Americans actually do?
Wasn't some of them joining the war?
What did they think of the American Civil War? It shouldn't surprise you that Native Americans weren't exactly keen on the white Americans who had progressively been taking more and more land from them over the previous centuries.
I know,
Primary
man.
tribes that were affected by this were collectively known as the 5 civilized tribes who had previously been forced westward in the decades prior to the outbreak of the Civil War. These 5 tribes were the Cherokee, the Creek, the Seminole, the Chickasaw, and the Choctaw, and all of them...
Bro, what the fuck is these names? The Chickasaw. What is the...
What? With the Confederacy. Largely because they held the Washington government as responsible for their forced deportations, and also because many of them had economies dependent on slaves. Not in their entirety, of course. Many within these tribes had sympathies towards the Union with respect to abolitionism. Not only that, but one major concern was the repercussions for choosing the wrong side. They'd already lost a lot, they didn't wish to lose more.
Yeah, makes sense.
These divisions ripped many tribes apart and led to people from the same family fighting for both sides. One man of particular importance was a Creek chief, Apothiaholo, who argued that Native Americans should get
in no
involved
way
in
I'm
the Civil
pronouncing
War
that.
because it was the white man's problem. In response to this, the Confederate-aligned tribes attacked in late 1861, and Apothiaholo fled north into Kansas, where he would remain until his death in 1863. In early 1862, the Union launched an offensive into Indian lands, and despite the best efforts of the Confederate-aligned Native Americans there under the command of Stand Watie, the Confederacy was beaten back. Soon after this, the Union captured the chief of the Cherokee, and by the end of the next year, it was...
Wait, so was he involved or not? Like... It seems like there was like, no, we don't want to be a part of this. And then they just, the South just kind of just, you know, we're going to come and fuck you up anyway.
Control of all of Native American territory. Did this mean that the war was over for Native Americans? No. In fact, many were sent eastward to go and fight there, whilst those that remained waged a guerrilla war. The primary leader of the Native American raiders was again Stand Watie, and he spent over a year raiding Union supply trains. Watie was so good at his job that when the Confederates restructured the army, he was placed in command of all of its Native American
they pretty much just joined the war then.
To the rank of Brigadier General. And despite the best efforts of Watie and the Native Americans in the West, the Union still won the war. And 2 months after General Lee's surrender, the Native American tribes capitulated as well. So after the war, what happened to the Native American tribes that sided with the Confederacy? Well, nothing good. All slaves owned by natives were to be freed and given full citizenship within the tribes. And whilst morally it was a good thing, economically it was...
Wait, did you just say nothing good?
Absolutely devastating for these tribes. The tribes were also forced to sell much of their lands to the federal government at a reduced rate, the money raised from which was then promptly appropriated as war reparations. Of course, there were more than 5 tribes involved in the Civil War, but none of them came out of it well. Even those who weren't too involved, like the Comanches or the Cheyennes, were forced to sign similar documents which confiscated their lands and moved them to reservations. The federal government, soon headed by veterans of the Civil War who, for the most part, had a distaste for their former Native American enemies, ignored these treaties where it suited them. Tribes would lose yet more land, be placed on reservations, and would spend over a decade trying to fix the divisions which had plagued them during the Civil War. I hope you...
Another good one from History Matters, they always make amazing videos. All that happened was that they fought for them and they got their lands taken away. Like, what the fuck? Really good video. Enjoyed that one. I hope that you guys did as well. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.